Hello everyone, my name is Benjamin Pickering. I am doing this video as a visual analysis of a scene from the Netflix series Black Mirror. The episode in particular is going to be the USS Callister, and I'm reviewing the scene where Nanette Cole wakes up upon the ship, the USS Callister, within the virtual reality. The point I am trying to prove is how all these various elements of color, shot angles, costuming, the lighting, the set design, they all come together as they present this new world to us through Nanette's eyes as she discovers the Callister. It also shows us the deeper level of meaning of how the Callister is a prison for those occupants on board. So we will begin upon an extreme close-up shot here. And this begins to establish the theme of light always being brighter behind her as she continues forward throughout the rest of the scene and through the hallways of the ship. The light always continually is brighter behind her than before her. This shows her descent into the darkness of the imprisonment on the ship and how the better times are behind her. This also begins the theme of light coming in through bars. In a prison, all the light is in bars, and bars are a very common theme within a prison type scenario. And this continues throughout the rest of the set design on the ship. We also come now to her costuming here. The Callister is supposed to be a virtual reality representation of a science fiction military vessel, so she has a uniform on that reflects that. There are many connections between the military uniform and a prison uniform. In both scenarios, they are used to strip you of your individuality and identity, and with both the military and the prison are used to identify you by purpose and by rank. And there is also a direct connection of the lack of free will and how, even in the world today, forced military service of this kind can directly be seen as a prison sentence in and of itself, of how it is utilized such in oppressive countries in the world today. And now she's also quite literally shaking in her boots at this new environment. But as we get in closer, another unique point I like to point out as well is that her hairstyle has actually changed from last time we saw the real world Nanette Cole. Instead of the long ponytail, she now has this teased out bob cut. Just another element of the level of control that Robert Daly has over the characters that make up the crew of his ship, that even the hairstyle has changed apart from what she had before. As you can hear, that begins the ominous tones that are repeated throughout as the music throughout the scene, ultimately ending in a big orchestral swell as the ship is revealed through the window. But the ominous tones give a sense of foreboding, of danger, or a frightening scenario ahead that eventually leads up to that point once in later scenes Robert Daly does appear onto the ship and begins torturing the crew.
Hello?
It's also the first start of how we see every time the camera moves and starts to pan, it has a constant rotation to it. Things are not quite right in this new world.
Oh.
The bar theme is continued throughout the hallway here. All the light coming in through bars, the tilt pans continue. We see in the hallway here a significant crampedness to it. How only about two people can pass by either side. There isn't a whole lot of headroom there. And also there's a substantial thickness to the walls. This also alludes to a prison setting of how the walls are designed to not be able to be compromised to aid in escape, and how the hallways are narrow enough to control population control. Um, Also, there's a common coloring element you'll see as we progress through here in our costuming and the lighting, the decor on the walls. Everything is either a pale, dull, dreak, and bleak and dreary gray, or it's complete blue and dim lighting. Everything has this blue hue to it, blue color. Blue is a color of sadness. This is a very sad place for them here on the ship, and it's also that sadness and that dim blue dreariness and the bleakness of it all has allusions to a prison type environment. We also see here this one window we have on this ship as we got closer and on. You saw bars in the window as well, a common bar theme continuing there as well. This is also the only shot where Nanette isn't in the focus of the picture, the shot. And in both scenarios, it continues to illustrate the loneliness she experiences being on the ship, and how, much like the isolation of a prison cell, how the loneliness of the ship has that same attitude towards it, and that loneliness of space as well. On a side note, I like how they used the uh, blurred reflection here in the window to kind of illustrate how this isn't quite reality. Things aren't real here, things are off. She isn't the full version of herself, being this virtual reality representation, as she will yet realize in the subsequent scenes. Wrapping up here, we continue to get darker and darker as we move towards the cabin, crouching into the doorway there. Until finally the cabin opens up, and that's about the end of the scene there. We move on from here, from her own personal discovery to everything kind of being explained to us through her interactions with the characters from this point onward. So I really like how they use all these sub elements to allude to the dreariness of this place, and I think with the extra subtle cues even beyond that of the bar design and the costuming and whatnot, goes beyond just the sadness of the place to the imprisonment theme of it, and how as they set up a new environment and a new world, they set up a deeper meaning to it as well, set up a backstory to the set itself that can be as deep and as rich as the characters that act out scenes within the set. Um, Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is all property of the Netflix company, the player and the video and everything else. I am purely using this for educational purposes for a writing pop culture class at the University of Utah. Have a good night.